Welcome back to 755 is Real. I'm David O'Brien, Braves writer at The Athletic, and with my co-host Eric O'Flaherty. What's going on, Eric?
Not much. How you holding up, Dave?
I'm all right, man. I just finished running on the Embarcadero, so my knees are killing me, and I didn't have time to shower.
Running on concrete, not for me.
Yeah, it's terrible, man. And you can't even run on the bike lane because there's people going about 90 miles an hour on the bike lane, so you're on the sidewalk, which is the worst. Far worse than regular pavement for running. It's terrible.
I feel like you'd fit in good in a CrossFit gym.
Nah. I might eventually have to adapt.
Yep. That'll get your heart rate up.
But it's beautiful, though. It's on the water, right on the piers.
I used to live down there.
Huh?
When I was with Oakland, yeah, we lived right down there. It was cool.
Nice. This area is, since they built that Oracle Park, AT&T Park, Pac Bell Park. It's booming. It was once industrial down here.
Yeah.
Not anymore. Well, anyway, on the other side, on the East Bay last night, the Braves opened a series. Before we get into Soroka, I wanted to ask you, is there anything to playing a game on the East Coast, those dreaded Sunday night ESPN games? ESPN's the only reason that a team can get away with having to play or can be forced to play on a Sunday night and then play a day game on the other side of the country. Is there anything to that, or is the travel the way that teams do it, first class and all that?
No, it doesn't help at all. I mean,
some guys can sleep on a plane, other guys can't. So I can imagine some guys, they didn't get into their hotel till 3 a.m.
Yeah, and the game was you go to sleep probably 3:30, 3:45,
which was 8:30. East Coast time. Their bodies are on East Coast time, so it's about 8:30 in the morning. They played here at 5 local time in the afternoon. Yeah. So they got out there about 2. The bus was at 2, the first bus across the bridge and all that. No traffic yesterday, thank God. But Memorial Day. But so what do you think there's something to that? Teams coming out flat when they have to do that?
Yeah, I think especially for hitters too, because you're talking reaction time. But I mean, there's not really much you can do, especially when you're changing time zones. It's hard enough. I think that I don't even know how it's allowed for that to be on the schedule, because I think ESPN just gets to randomly choose too.
Yeah, they do.
So when it's originally scheduled, it's supposed to be a travel day.
Right.
You're supposed to get out of there at 4:00 your time, 5:00.
Yeah.
Get in the West Coast with plenty of time to grab some dinner. But the worst part about it, I mean, some guys can sleep on the plane, but the worst part about it is you still wake up at the same time.
Yeah.
So if you've been getting up at, say,
I got up at 6 this morning. That's
right,
way early.
You can't fall back asleep. There's nothing to do because that's your body clock set. So when you switch coasts, it's hard enough. Then you get in at 3 a.m. on the West Coast. You're waking up at 5, 6, 7. You try to fall back asleep. It's really it's brutal. I hated when we did that, and we used to try to email the league or get it changed. It never does, but it definitely affects your reaction time for a hitter. And you're talking a guy the second dude that came in yesterday is throwing 98-mile-an-hour sinkers.
Yeah.
That's hard enough to hit at 100%.
He was perfect for 3 innings, by the way.
Yeah. Yeah.
Perfect. 9 batters. Yeah. Got his first major league win. So, all right, I wanted to check with you on that because there's different opinions on it, because people say, yeah, they fly first class. They don't have to do anything, but body is your body clock and your sleep patterns are.
Yeah, but when you fly red eye, you don't have to hit a fastball the next day. You know, it's like there's a huge difference in I can get through a day tired,
right?
And I can get
right.
Or me too. We had a shitty day yesterday. We were traveling, and the baby woke up at 6 a.m. at the hotel. We're all up, we're groggy, but I'm like, I just got to get through the day.
Right.
There's a huge difference just getting through the day and not complaining about it versus trying to hit 98.
Well. Because if people are looking for a reason how yesterday could happen, that certainly could have contributed to it. Because the A's had lost 11 straight games and 14 out of 15. In those 14 games, they had not scored more than 3 runs. They won 7-2 yesterday. It was their largest margin of victory this season.
Yeah,
they are a terrible team. Terrible. They had 10 wins before yesterday. This team is on pace to lose about 130 games, like historically bad.
I think that's the plan.
Boy, they're bad. But they didn't look bad yesterday. The dude starting out, but he was pretty good, actually, man. He was pretty good, I thought.
Yeah, he had good stuff, but I mean, it's hard to even gauge it because it's like when you've had a few drinks and you think you're making all this sense, and nobody around you's fooled, right?
That's the way of putting it.
But you feel fine and you're just getting through it. You feel like you should hit that pitch. You see it, you're looking for it, and your body just can't react in time. And that's what happens with a lot of guys. So it's hard for me to even give a pitcher credit or anybody credit for playing well against a team that's, it's a team full of zombies. You can drink all the coffee you want too. Doesn't change anything.
So that said, Soroka, who flew out the night before, as starters do, that would have been a nightmare to fly out with the team after that night game. But I was encouraged, and I thought the Braves really were. I thought, regardless of the line, he gave up 4 runs, 3 of those on one swing on a home run that, they said he hung a changeup. I didn't think it was that bad a pitch. It was at the bottom of the strike zone. The guy went down and got it. But anyway, I thought his stuff looked pretty good, and I think he definitely can help this team going forward. For his first start in 3 years, I thought 6 innings, and other than that one swing on that home run, he had a ragged inning. That inning, walked a couple guys. He hit a couple guys in his 6 innings. But overall, I was very encouraged.
Yeah, how could you not be? I mean, for me, if I hadn't watched him and if I didn't know the story, if I kind of checked out of baseball, he looked the same to me.
Yeah.
He's throwing strikes. He had a low pitch count. I think he finished with 83 pitches through 6. So he's on pace to go 7 or 8. A lot of quick. The thing that I saw was
couple innings were quick.
Yeah. The thing that I saw was when he missed with his sinker over the plate, there was a lot of times where they're just fouling it into the dirt.
Yeah.
So that tells me when you see an elevated sinker still get fouled straight down, it's got tight late life. So his sinker's really good. I thought his changeup was actually really good. And you could say he hung that one, but that's the thing about baseball is anytime you give up a bad result on a pitch, it's a bad pitch.
Yeah.
It's like, oh yeah, you hung it if you give up a homer. But if he threw that exact same pitch and got a double play ball, the other guy's just a centimeter off of the swing. It's a great pitch. It's perfect time to throw it.
Right.
But I thought he looked great.
And Sean Murphy said the same thing, and he's not a guy given to hyperbole. He's a straight shooter, man. And he said, I thought he was awesome. He said, I hope he felt good about that performance because he can really build off that. He said he should feel good about it. It was really impressive. So, I mean,
his demeanor was incredible.
Yeah. I thought that was really good because I can't even imagine the nervousness you would feel after. Never mind the 2 torn Achilles and any concerns about that. He's obviously put that behind him but he's out there facing major league hitters for the first time in over 1,000 days between starts.
Yeah. Yeah. It's that moment when it becomes official. Even for me, just missing 1 year with Tommy John. Mm-hmm. I came back in that same stadium. It felt like the World Series to me. And my adrenaline, my focus, everything was so high just from, you build up that moment in your head for years, and he thought he was going to get that moment last year and had to wait an extra year. And I think I've said it before, but I don't know seriously that I could do it. I consider myself pretty tough, but I don't think, I can't say with certainty that I could get through what he got through.
The mental toughness, I think a very small percentage of people could do that without just going, you know what? I don't think there's a good chance of me coming back and going through this. Let's just fix it for quality of life and do what I need to do to repair it so I can walk.
Yeah.
Go through all the rehab again after just going through it for a year.
Yeah.
I mean, it'd be like doing Tommy John coming back and then having to do a redo of Tommy John before you've actually pitched in a game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I've seen so many guys just self-destruct in that.
Right.
Rehab cycle where their whole life falls apart, not just baseball.
Jake Berger, the dude for the White Sox, the other guy that had 2 Achilles, he had battle depression and stuff. He went through a lot of mental stuff.
Well, there's no reward. You're putting all this work in and you don't see any reward. It's like maybe every couple months I feel a little faster, I feel a little quicker, but you don't know if it's going to work the whole time. That's what was tough for me about Tommy John is I'm sitting there in a sling doing all this rehab every day. You don't even know if it's going to work. Am I going to come back and be the same? And I wasn't after the surgery, those are things that are in your head.
I talked to Charlie before the game yesterday, and he had a quote just about that same thing. Let me find this because it was a great quote. Here it was. He said, That's what a couple of people asked last night because they were talking about it, I guess, late night, Sunday night, maybe on the plane. I'm not sure. Somebody said, what's it like coming back, from a major injury? And Charlie said, it's not the same. It's not even close to the same because when you have surgery, you have a goal and you have a time frame and you're hitting your milestones and you see the light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah.
And then to have that just go completely dark and it's like all over again.
Yeah.
I don't know how that feels.
And hearing everybody say, it's
right.
How hard it is to do and nobody's done it yet or no pitcher's done it yet.
Right.
I mean, you can't ignore all that.
He said, being a major leaguer is something you grew up dreaming about and you work and practice. You compete against a ton of kids, then young adults, then adults who still have those dreams because there is a romantic side to a career in baseball. To have that taken away because your body fails you is frustrating. And then to have it just seem like you're never going to get back there. But he said, well, Michael's always had that inner drive, and I never heard him say anything that made him sound like he had been defeated, just frustrated and hurt because the window we have isn't great. But the amount of time and effort and the amount of yourself you have to put into it, it's a lot. And then to have that seem like it was taken from him, betrayed by your own body. So, but he never gave that sense. He said he always seemed like he was just kind of rolling with the punches. He said those are the type of people that are going to be okay no matter what they do. But you still want to see the little kid, the dreamer in that person achieve what they wanted to achieve.
Yeah, that pretty much sums it up.
So that was a huge step back for him last night. And something he can obviously build on. And, never mind the final line. Just that was momentous, man. To go that long and to come back and everybody felt good for him. Oh, and by the way, there was only about 8,000, 9,000 people there, but it was still obviously a 3-deck stadium. So it's not like pitching in the minor leagues.
Well, it's on TV too. You got TV cameras, you got media before the game.
Right. And there were probably a couple of thousand Braves fans there, and they were kind of congregated by the visitors' dugout. And he got a standing ovation when he came off after the first inning and then again after the second inning. It was very cool.
Yeah, it's going to be loud at home.
Oh, my God. He said this is kind of a step towards that because he knows what it's going to be like.
Yeah.
I don't know that anybody knows exactly what it's going to be like because it's going to be maybe unprecedented at that stadium. It's going to be overwhelming. There's going to be a lot of people crying. Yeah.
If I came back from that, I'd probably have to fight back tears on the mound, and that's why I was saying his demeanor was so steady throughout the entire game.
Charlie Culberson said, because I mentioned that, what it's going to be overwhelming. I said, Freddie's applause is not going to be anything compared to this. And he said it was giving him chills just thinking about that. And I said, there's going to be a lot of misty eyes in that crowd. And he goes, there's going to be some in the dugout too.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, they've gotten to watch it up close, I mean, you see your teammates, you know each other pretty well. You see when somebody's having a hard time. Yeah. And it's something that you could try to fake and say the right things. And I think it's easier to do for a 30-second interview, right? When the camera's in front of you, but day in, day out, walking around that clubhouse, watching all your teammates get to play, and you're on day like 1,000 of rehab or whatever it was for him. Yeah. It's hard to keep your head up through that whole time. So they've seen his ups and downs.
Yeah, he said it was so weird going out there because there's a lot of people on this team that he's gotten to know for over 2 years that he's never been able to pitch for, Yeah. He's just been around all the time.
Yeah. Yeah. So nobody wants to be that guy either. The guy that's just around. You get to know these guys, you want to go out and compete with them.
So anyway, it was a 4-2 game after Matt Olson hit his 3rd home run in 2 days. I mean, this guy's really hitting his stride right now. But that was in the 8th, and then Lukey came in and really had another terrible outing. Lukey is, I don't know what's going on with him, man, but he's not the same guy that he was with the Yankees the last couple of years. That's for sure. His ERA is over 10 now, and he's just really struggled, man. Came back from the IL and it really hasn't not found any kind of a rhythm or anything. So they need him because they need somebody. They got Dylan Lee. They're really feeling that guy's absence, man. We're seeing how critical he was.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I mean, he threw so many – he did it so quietly, but he threw so many big innings and got so many big outs that, that's when a lot of games unravel. Down 1, down 2, or, second and third in the sixth, seventh inning. You know, those situations decide the game just as much. And usually the closer gets all the credit, but your teammates know how important you are when you're in that role.
Yeah, because Mentor was struggling some, but Dylan Lee was picking up a lot of that slack. Now you've got Mentor, still really inconsistent, and Dylan Lee's been hurt. I mean, where would they be without a couple of guys like Chavez, who's been tremendous, and Tonkin obviously had quite a run there, but he's had a couple of bad outings. So anyway, the bullpen is a little bit sketchy lately, and they really need some guys to get healthy. And that we've seen it happen. You wonder how long they can pick up the slack, because earlier they had not 3 bullpen games in 9 days.
Yep.
Which is a hell of a lot. You had a couple of guys get hurt. You had a couple of early on, those rookies were only going about 4 innings in their starts. So you were picking up a lot of innings. And I think they're showing wear and tear early on. They're going to have to get a second win, which they can obviously do. It's just going to take some doing, some health.
It's really easy to pick up a bunch of innings in April, early May. But yeah, it does catch up with you. Once you start having to warm up and go back to back, and your season kind of starts, you just start picking up a lot of innings and a lot of throws. Early on, you're out of spring training. And when you're in spring training, you get 2 days off, then you pitch again. 2 days off, you pitch again. So on those 2 days, you're never going high effort. During the season, especially if the bullpen's struggling a little bit or having it at bullpen games, you're warming up all the damn time. So yeah, for me, that's why Soroka coming back so big, because he was at 83 pitches through 6 yesterday. I don't know what his pitch count's been in the minor leagues, but if he gets up to 100, he can easily, even if he's not super, super dominant, which I think he will be eventually this season, just eating innings. Like, he doesn't get rattled. And he has that sinker where he can have low pitch count innings, like Elder,
Right. Yeah, and Soroka went with 90 pitches, 7 innings his last AAA start. So he's built to that level now. And I would only expect him to get better as we go forward. I know it was against the A's and all that, and people, but never mind that. Just it was his first start, and to get through that was impressive. Take out the home run, you can't do that, but he got that big double play. I thought when the bases were loaded, that was huge, and I thought that's the kind of thing he does. Ground ball guy, tons of ground balls. Rosario did save another home run with a beautiful catch, but all in all, good stuff, I thought. And then Blackburn,
getting that first one out of the way is big.
Yeah. Urseg just tore through the Braves though in innings 5 through 7.
They brought in that the dude that Olsen hit the home run off too. I mean, he was throwing 100.
Yeah. They had some good arms out of the pen there late, man.
I don't know how every team has a guy, it seems like, throwing 100 miles an hour with a 7 ERA. Like, man, if you gave me that thing, I guess it's a different game now, but it can't be that hard to get out to 100.
Yeah. I wanted to get into a couple of other things outside the Braves, but stuff that happened this weekend.
Real quick, David, before you hop in there, can I knock out a quick ad read?
Yeah,
awesome. And then I guess while you're getting up, when you come back, we'll deal with the audio thing real fast.
All right.
Cool. Shout out to the folks over at Omaha Steaks with Father's Day right around the corner. What do you give to the man who has everything? Well, the Father's Day experts at Omaha Steaks have made it easy to put a smile on the big guy's face this summer with hand-selected packages. Head over to omahasteaks.com and use promo code 755REAL. Those are the numbers 755 and REAL at checkout and get $30 off your qualifying order. Packages can include pork tender, bacon wrapped filet mignons, or other gourmet grillables like the air-chilled boneless chicken breasts, burgers, jumbo franks, and many more favorites. Don't forget to save room for dessert. Most gift packages come with 4 delicious caramel apple tartlets. We're all getting hungry just thinking about it. Also, check out the other hand-selected packages that are guaranteed to make Dad's day. Because if there's one thing Omaha Steaks knows, it's that dads want steak. Whether he's your father, father-in-law, or father figure, he's the guy who always ready to step up when you need him most. This Father's Day, show him the love with the only gift that's as unforgettable as he is, the mouth-watering perfection of Omaha Steaks. From perfectly aged, oh-so-tender steaks to hand-selected gift packages, Omaha Steaks makes it easy to give Dad what he really wants. Order today and get $30 off with promo code 755REAL. And every purchase is backed with their unconditional money-back guarantee. Minimum order may be required. See sites for details. Shout out again to the folks at Omaha Steaks. And then DOB, real quick, on your window, if you go to the settings app and then go to the audio tab, there should be something that says echo cancellation. Just make sure that's selected.
It is.
It is, and you're still hearing yourself through your earbuds?
Yeah. You know what happened? I put my cursor over the audio recording box and
put the volume at 0.
What's that?
There's a mic under where it says audio recording, and put that mic, mute it. That's your input volume. You won't hear the echo.
That's what
what
happened. Now put it at 0. Okay. Can you guys hear me still?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's your own audio.
Beautiful.
Yeah, it's a feedback. Yeah,
that's what happened.
You're monitoring yourself. Awesome.
Way to go, Eric. Look at you.
Yeah. Eric should be producing this shit.
Yeah, well, he couldn't do it any worse than you do. That's for damn sure.
All right, well, that wasn't uncalled for. All right.
The cooler showed us a few things.
The cooler. Yeah.
All right. Now that Cam's read the damn ads, was one of them Omaha Steaks?
Yeah.
Man, the Omaha Steaks are good.
I got mine too. They were good.
Man, I cooked a couple of them burgers. Fat old burgers. I like them. And those bacon wrapped fillets. You had those? Cooked those?
Mm-hmm. I got 3 boys. It goes quick.
Oh, I bet. I got 2 cats, man. They
they don't eat shit.
Hey, I wanted to ask you about this weekend. A couple of things that happened around baseball, because we've talked about this, how the game's changed, obviously, and our own views of this have changed about being cocky, flamboyant, blah blah blah, all that stuff. We've adapted along with the game, I think, to a certain degree. But the funny thing, irony is that I have been critical sometimes of guys. Doing stuff that maybe that deserve to get thrown at because of it. But at the same time, when I was a kid, my favorite players were the most cockiest guys, like Reggie Jackson. So I don't know if that makes me a hypocrite or not. But anyway, I've changed over the years. And I thought that this weekend, there were a couple examples. Yesterday, Stroman, by the way, that dude, I've not been a big Stroman fan, but he's having a terrific year. And he almost threw a no-hitter yesterday, man. But did you see the antics he's had the last couple of starts, what he's doing? I think most of it is because that's how he jacks himself up. That is what he does to get going. Kind of like Acuna. They're not the same player if they don't show the energy and the cockiness and all that. I think he almost needs that. He has to get excited. But somebody said as long as he doesn't like point to the dugout like he was doing with the Mets. I don't know, man. As a pitcher, I don't even know if I have a problem with that, because I'm like, you're bringing it on yourself. Anything that happens, you deserve it. So if you're willing to go out there on that limb and say, I'm such a badass, I will point at you, and you can come out and try to get me, try to go out there and take me deep, and then you can point to me and laugh at me or whatever. If you want to do it, I don't know that I have a problem with it. If that's what you need to do. I know it's crossing borders, crossing the line.
Yeah, for me, all of it's just, I'm out of the game. So I'm not going to get worked up on my couch.
Right.
Whatever, I'm not policing the game anymore. I'm not in charge of any young guys.
Yeah.
If the players are cool with it, it's cool with me. Yeah. And it seems like everybody's just kind of accepted it. And it's a good point you make about there's certain guys that need to up the ante. That's where they thrive. They need to have an enemy. And I feel like, Stroman's got his haters or whatever he thinks he has. And that just works for him. Fine.
Yeah.
I don't like it, but it doesn't matter what I think.
Right.
If it would probably drive me crazy if I was on the other team and the guy's doing it, because it fucking sucks to lose.
And maybe that works when it does drive the other team crazy. Maybe you get so obsessed with him, that you lose focus. Maybe he knows what he's doing, Yeah. But I think Chipper said it best. Chipper told me one time, the game polices itself.
Yep. That's
what happens. Some guys get thrown out and everybody bitches and you can't do that. No throwing. The game polices itself, and that's not going to change. The game, it might change as far as the antics that are a lot more allowed these days,
Yep.
But there's always going to be those people that are pissed off by it, and they're going to take matters into their own hands. So the game polices itself, and that's not changed.
Yeah.
Even though the game itself has changed, and guys are doing a lot of stuff they didn't used to do. It's not like you can just do whatever you want. This isn't just this isn't the WWE here.
Yeah.
But
and I think it's a bad look to trash a former team. I mean, generally the guys that do that aren't
right.
guys that I got along with or liked, but whatever. He's not my cup of tea, but whatever. It's like it doesn't fit. It's not a big deal to me either way. I'll let the Mets have a problem with it. I'll let them handle it.
And if he had a problem with them, there's got to be a reason, right?
No, those guys aren't always right, to be honest with you.
Right, but he's pissed if they didn't try to re-sign him or didn't make him an offer or whatever. But anyway.
They're not always right. I'll say that.
I'm not a Stroman fan, but I will give him props because he's having a hell of a year, man.
Yeah.
That was quite a performance yesterday. The other one is Tatis. I'm not a big Tatis fan either, but I understand why people are, because he's flamboyant. He's fun to watch.
He's so good.
He's exciting. He's damn good. Yeah.
I love watching his talent.
Yeah. And the steroid thing really turned me off because I don't know how much of it is real and how much of it is, but
can't appreciate a guy after that.
Right. I mean, that's terrible that guys, when that happens, because I think his talent, he didn't need to do the steroids. That's the problem, but he's having a hell of a year now, even though his OBP is under 300. He's not anywhere near what he was before, but you see the glimpses of it. But what I wanted to talk about was how he's handling this, getting booed mercilessly everywhere. So when you get booed everywhere, you're going to get booed the most at Yankee Stadium, probably, And what was he doing? It's like you could do nothing. Right? You could totally ignore them. And Altuve's done that. You could totally ignore them. Or you can go the complete opposite direction, which is what he's doing. He's like going to the crowd, looking at them at Yankee Stadium and going, let's go. And I don't have a problem with that, man, because I'm like, what's he supposed to do? Is he supposed to just be quiet and hope that they get tired of doing it? I think the fact that we've seen it in Atlanta over the years, Bryce Harper has become public enemy number one, and he cemented that status. First, he did it because he's just, the whole Bryce Harper when he was a young player coming up, when he was in his first few seasons, he just had the hair and everything, and it just he looked cocky out there, right?
Yeah,
kind of like a young chipper. And then he cemented that status when he walked across the logo at Turner Field, scraped his cleat across it, which was like, whoa, what are you doing, dude? I mean, that was just like a slap in the face, right? So he cemented his status. Well, he's changed over the years. He no longer really does anything like that to cause that.
Everybody still hates him.
And everybody still hates him. So he totally ignores it. And he's, and they boo him like crazy at Turner Field every time he comes up. He could hit a home run. He could strike out. They just keep booing it. So it's like, okay, you can do it that way, or you can do like Tatis and like revel in it. I don't know. You might have a better chance of shutting them up if you just keep doing this, because they might be like, oh, whatever. They're
not shutting up either way. Yeah, like they're doing that no matter what. I never, like, if you warmed up in the Philly bullpen, in the San Francisco bullpen, Oakland bullpens, Seattle bullpens, you're 10 feet from the fans. They know you can hear you. They're talking shit. But I just
on the field,
I didn't want to up the ante. I was nervous enough and had enough pressure on myself. I didn't need to add any.
Right.
Because if I talk shit to the fans and say, watch this, and then go give up a 3 spot, I'm giving them so much joy with my failure. And my failure is going to hurt the same. Right. I mean, it's painful enough to suck in the big leagues. And for me, it was just, I didn't want to be distracted and interacting with this. But, hat tip to the guys that can. If you can egg on the Yankee Stadium crowd and then go hit a homer, you got big balls. If you
have that much confidence in yourself.
Yeah. And guys do. It always blew my mind how much confidence guys had.
Yeah.
There'd be guys that were hitting 210 and they're telling you, I'm going to be an all-star, like Josh Donaldson.
Right.
Josh Donaldson was saying he was going to be an all-star when he was hitting 210 in AAA. Eventually it came to fruition, and he was. I mean, he was everything he said he was.
Yeah.
But to be loudmouth and talking that and saying it all, just the energy that you absorb from people when they want you to fail like that and they know what you've said.
Yeah.
I didn't need that. I had enough pressure on myself, but some guys can thrive with it. And if they can, then good for them.
I think the only ones that really can thrive are the special
Very special.
athletes.
Yeah.
And
Acuna could do it.
Acuna can do it. He goes into a visiting park and does the whole silencer thing, does all the antics. And he's like, he knows it would be easier for him just to trot the bases. But instead, he does like 4 things of going around the bases to egg the crowd on. Because
I think he feeds off of that.
I think he does too. That's his personality. And to the Braves' credit, they haven't reined it in because why would you? I mean, he's producing. Yeah. Look at him now. Look at him right now.
Yeah. No, you don't touch him. Yeah. And I mean, he's a really good example for me. Is I admire his skill as a player so much, and you learn to love your own,
Right.
So whatever he does, it's like whatever he's got to do. When he's your teammate, he's doing that. You're backing it up. Now, if he's hitting 210,
right,
and he's been up and down AAA and comes up and starts doing that, somebody's gonna tell him, "Hey,
right,
cool out until you actually start backing it up." But for me, that's the whole thing. Is you have to back it up if you're gonna act like that.
Right, and there's just a select group of guys that can do that.
Yeah, and the select group of guys that need more pressure. I didn't need an ounce of extra pressure when I was playing because the game was enough for me. It was hard enough for me. I was good, but I wasn't. I mean, things had to go right, So if I gave myself a reason to fear failure more, or have the failure mean more, it was like it's just more pressure, and you're just more likely to crack. But the guys that are just uber talented like that can feed off of it and go and they need it. Yeah, then that's who they got to be. And that's like with Stroman. I think that's just what he needs. He needs to have somebody. He needs to have an enemy.
Yeah, going back to when I was a kid, talking about my favorite players, Reggie Jackson, Dave Parker, they were like that, to the degree for that time, they were every bit for that time as flamboyant as these guys now. And somebody said, well, I can't say his name. Well, he says, fuck Bill Gates is his name. P-H-U-C-K, Bill Gates, says Barry Bonds did it better than anyone. Yeah. He certainly did. And as Barry said, because he got booed everywhere, obviously. And as he said one time, they don't boo average players.
No.
He was right about that. And Ken Griffey used to get booed.
Yeah, and that was my favorite player growing up. So, I mean, it's just like you said,
Chipper used to get booed everywhere.
I think I had that realization, too, in the last 5 or 10 years, how good it is for the game, for growing the game.
Yeah.
This is what the kids want, and they'll let the kids play stuff. But I will say, if a pitcher wants to do the same shit hitters are doing, and I've been waiting for it to happen, it just doesn't really. Because hitters get mad about a fist pump and a yell.
Right.
But they can throw their bat in the air and walk halfway to first base. If a pitcher wanted to do that, I mean, there's so much more success and opportunity for a pitcher to just be a complete asshole out there. And I guess guys have just been the bigger people, but.
They see Stroman's little dance he did when he was walking across the mound. Oh, he did a little thing. It was funny, man.
Yeah.
So he might be the closest guy to doing that right now of a pitcher, of doing this kind of antics. Because, and I said people booed Chipper, but in Chipper's case, it wasn't doing a bunch of antics. It was just that he was so cocky looking, just the way he knew he was great, and he carried himself even when he was 21, 2 years old. He carried himself like that, I'm the best guy here. I don't care what you think of me, And he just had that air about him. And so if you weren't all the other teams, he was the guy they targeted and hated because he was so good. But on your team, he's your favorite player. Most people's favorite player. One of those,
Yeah, for sure. I'd love Chipper growing up, but he wasn't in my division. I mean, I was an American League fan.
Yeah, so he didn't destroy your team.
Yeah.
Anyway, so the Braves got 5 more games out here on the West Coast. It's going to be interesting to see how they play today after they get the sleep out of their eyes and have a normal night here. I would expect them to win the next 2 here, and then they go to Arizona. Arizona's playing pretty good, man. They got a pretty decent team, so that's not going to be the cakewalk that you might have thought, when you looked at the schedule early on. So. Braves haven't fared well on West Coast in the past, but they have in recent years. So we'll see. They need to have a winning trip, then go home, and because the Mets are right there. Fortunately for them, the Mets have lost like 4 out of 6, and they got all kinds of issues themselves. So this little stretch that the Braves have been less than scintillating. They really haven't lost a whole lot on their lead. They were up 7.5. I think they're still up 4.5, 5.5.
Yeah.
So,
they're not saying that in the clubhouse, so they know where they're at. They know they got to clean it up. And I mean, yesterday for me is, I can't fault them at all for losing that game. And you can lose to any team at any time in baseball, but you make that combination of like 3 hours of shitty sleep. And I think, another big thing that happens on the West Coast, at least for me, was the climate change. It was, you go from, it takes 5 or 6 throws to start sweating in Atlanta. You go out on the West Coast and it's, what was it, 68 in Oakland yesterday? It's in the 60s or low 70s.
Low 60s.
Low humidity.
Yeah.
You can't get a sweat going. I mean, to try to adapt to that overnight, and it's the same going from the West Coast to the East Coast. When you go to the East Coast and it's humid, you feel like you're playing underwater. But that change for me was always really difficult. I hated West Coast trips when I was with Atlanta.
It's about 20 degrees difference right now here.
Yeah.
It's like about 60, 62.
Yeah.
And you're on the water and got low humidity. It's just very different climate, completely different climate. It feels like early or late season back in Atlanta.
Yeah.
When you're out here. The lead is down to 4 games, by the way, but the second place team isn't the Mets, it's the Marlins.
Really?
Everybody thought Mets, Phillies, Braves. Well, Marlins are 4 games back. They're still over 500, or they're back over 500. They're 28 and 26. And they have it's crazy, the Braves' home record, 15 and 14. The Marlins have a better home record than the Braves. Marlins are 14-11 at home. The Braves have been great on the road, but despite
Miami's almost like a Vegas advantage, though. There's a lot of temptation there. I think
it's always been that way in basketball too, in the NBA.
Yeah.
But so they're 4 games back. Mets are 5 games back. The Phillies are having they're very disappointing year so far. They're 6.5 back, 25 and 28. But we saw the Phillies. We don't have to look very far in the past to see the Phillies get hot at the right time. They went to the World Series last year, and they were basically having this type of year last year. So we'll see. But there's a whole lot. We're only 1/3 of the way through.
Yep.
There's a whole lot of baseball to be played. Marcell Ozuna, by the way, has got 2 days left in this month, and this guy has had just a complete turnaround. Complete. Everybody that gave up on him, and after that horrible April.
Yep.
And then you thought, he's only done it 4 or 5 games when he had started out May so great. Well, he's kept it up the whole month, and Snit has used him in the right way. He's played like 22 games, but if you look at what this guy's done for the month, I got the Braves leaders. I put them in down here a while ago. You were talking Braves leaders for the month. Damn it, what did I do with that? He's still over 1,000 OPS, by the way, for the month. I mean, if you played a few more games, I think you'd be a real solid candidate for player of the month in the NL, but there's a couple other guys that are right there with him, and they've played about 5 more games than him this month. So the counting stats are a little higher. But, damn. I got disjointed here. But using him, I mean, what he's done, if he had not had the month that he had, I mean, he's been huge for the Braves this month because they had a couple other guys that have not gotten going, and Ozzy has been so night and day with the lefty-righty thing this year. Those splits this year have been so magnified. So, I mean, when he's batting righty, he's put up great numbers, but majority of games are against righty, so he's batting lefty. But and Austin Riley, shows flashes. He got a good last week. He had a real good stretch going, but for the month, he hasn't had a good month. So Ozuna is really, I mean, he did it at the right time because they needed him to help the offense keep afloat like it has.
My money wasn't on him carrying the team after that first month, but I mean, it's hard not to trust the front office. I mean, there's things that you see pregame or guys working on, and they're close. And I mean, for me, it would have been pretty tempting to pull the plug in April. I mean, to have an emotional reaction or just get sick of it, and especially on top of that, you have all the fans booing him. But they know what they're doing, and they were patient, and it paid off.
Yeah. Alex, is not, as we've seen time and time again, he just doesn't. It's not that he doesn't care what the fans think, because he does, but he never makes decisions based on what the public opinion is. Never. Yeah. And that has 9 times out of 10, that has really paid off for him to not get caught up in the reaction. Because
I think I text you like late April, and I said, I said, shit, it might be time.
Yeah, you said it might be time.
Right? I mean, at the worst time possible. And how bad do you look if, whatever he changed or whatever he's working on, or if it's just random? I mean,
if you would have gotten rid of him then,
and he goes and does this,
and he's doing this for another team, and for while you're paying him his full salary, other than the major league minimum, you would have had so much egg on your face. And we talked about this because you kept him through the domestic violence thing, you kept him after the DUI. So then, if you would have got rid of him now, you would have lost that moral ground, which you could have dumped him after either of those two incidents. And then if he'd have hit great, you still could have just said, we just didn't want that on our team. But you kept him through that. So if you dumped him now,
strictly about money,
strictly about performance and money. So then he goes somewhere else, and you can't even take the high ground and say we got rid of him because of off the field stuff. So it would have been the worst of all scenarios if they'd have dumped him when everybody wanted him to, and he's out hitting for somebody else like this. For the month of May, OPS leaders: Brace, Ozuna 1,066, Murphy 963. I keep waiting for Murphy to cool off, but I think Darno coming back has helped Murphy continue this thing going because he's not playing out there every day. He's not getting worn down. Acuna 950, Olsen 890. This is for May. Riley 814, Arcia 776, and Albie 730, and Michael Harris still hadn't gotten going. He had a couple of good games last week. He thought he turned the corner. We'll see where he is on this trip, but he's at 540 for the month. The home run leaders for the month: Ozuna and Olsen 9 apiece. Acuna 7. RBIs: Murphy 22, Ozuna 20, Olsen 17. Acuna was 16. That's your leadoff guy, man, who's leading the league in stolen bases.
Well, there's one guy in the American League that has more than him, and he's playing for the A's. But it was funny to look at his stats. The stats you'd expect from a guy leading the league in stolen bases, hitting about 260. I was looking at one homer.
I was looking at the OPS leaders in the NL, and Acuna's up there with his 25. What is it, 25 steals? And nobody else, like in the top 50 in OPS in the league, has more than like 14. There's like one or two of the guys have 14, and nobody even within 10 of Acuna.
He's different.
Yeah, he's different, no doubt. All right, well, stay up late, folks. Brew that coffee because we got night games. Well, tomorrow's a day game. Tonight's a night game. And then on to Arizona. The Braves will have an off day. They're all got their tee times. There's quite a few of them are going to be playing golf in Arizona because it's a rare time where they're going there and the temperature's like 91 instead of 100. Which 91 there is like 91 there.
People are wearing hoodies.
Yeah. But I know Moilo's got something worked out with somebody at Silverleaf. Is that that's a nice course.
I don't know. I never played golf.
They switched hotels. They've always stayed at that one right in Scottsdale.
Yeah.
That used to be a
Ritz-Carlton.
A Ritz-Carlton, then they changed to something else, and Bryce kept staying there. Well, they're moving this time to the Phoenician, which is a beautiful resort. We had the gym meetings there one year. So we'll see. They get a nice off day though before they take on. They haven't had one in a while.
Yeah, and you need it, especially. I mean, that'll give them a chance to, by that Arizona series, kind of be adjusted on sleep. I mean, it's not an excuse, and everybody in the league's got to do it, and you still got to play good in those games. But especially the ESPN game for me is just
right. Not everybody in the league has to do that. That's the difference. That's the difference.
No, I mean, you can complain about the West Coast all you want, but when you add in the getting in at 3 a.m. Pacific time, 6 a.m. your time, falling asleep probably by 7 a.m. your time, and you're still going to wake up at probably 10 a.m. your time, right? Yeah. I mean, it's a debacle. I think the league should do something where they just say, if a team's going on a West Coast trip, you can't do it because it sucks when you stay on the East Coast.
Right. I mean, how difficult is that for them to say, ESPN, okay, you have your choice of games, but you can't choose the game involving a team that's about to fly to the West Coast. That's not asking too much. No, if you're changing coast, you should be playing ESPN. They just kowtow that when anybody pays that much for rights fees, they're like, you can do whatever the hell you want. I know. And that disrupts the integrity of the game. If you're, that's like having a normal start at 1 on a Sunday and having it go 25 innings, and then flying to the West Coast. Yep. Yeah. These they have the Peacock and Apple TV games that are 10 a.m. Right. Those games mess you up. 11 a.m. Yeah. Yeah, the Braves would have normally had a 12:30 or 1 o'clock game on a Sunday, and they would have been out here. They would have left at 4:30, 5 o'clock East Coast time. Gained the 3 hours coming out here. Like you said, had time to go to dinner out here.
Yeah,
But
I mean,
anyway.
I lose a little sleep, and I stumble over my words on the podcast. It's like there's no way I can go hit 98.
All right. Well, thanks everybody. We appreciate it. We'll talk again. What is today? Tuesday?
Yep.
Monday.
Nope. Tuesday.
Yesterday was Memorial Day. Yeah, that threw me off. Tuesday. Okay, we'll talk again at the end of the week. Maybe on the off day, Thursday or Friday. All right. Friday, because I'm flying on Thursday.
Cool.
We appreciate it. Thanks, everybody. 755 is real, and we are out.